Hi guys, welcome to another episode of Breaking Barriers, the Mental Health Podcast. I'm Lizzy.
And I'm Camila.
And on this episode, this is actually an episode that was a two-part discussion. This is now the second part where we are talking directly to Alicia Boateng, a celebrity cup designer. And actually, she made cups for celebrities such as Whoopi Goldberg.
And she's going to let us know how perseverance is one of the most important keys, among other things, and how to achieve your goals.
So let's listen in. I have Ed here. He is one of the top leaders with the Miami Association for Realtors. And I have Alicia here, who was just voted the top 100 women to know in the U.S. So I just want to thank you guys for joining us today.
Thank you.
Thank you. Tell us more about you guys.
So my name is Alicia Boateng. And I am a branding and visibility consultant. I'm also a celebrity cup designer. And
which we are so happy that you brought. And actually, I had purchased this one on my own several years. I think it was like a year or 2 years ago.
At least 2 years.
Yes, which I love, by the way.
Thank you. Thank you. And I also work alongside very closely with my husband in real estate.
You guys do it all. I know that Camila and I, we were looking at on your Instagram, and one of the things that really sticks out for us is when you say that your superpower is to empower women. Talk to us about that, please.
Absolutely. I love empowering women, uplifting them, making them feel beautiful. A lot of us go through a lot of struggle, having to see our beautiful self. And me included, because after I had our child, it took me a lot to get back to the who that I am. So I knew that, when I developed the cups, I knew that I wanted the message behind it to be empowering and beautiful, and leading to developing the cups. I developed the cups because I'm obsessed with coffee. And I've been drinking the same brand for over 30 years.
Wait, what brand of coffee? I need to ask.
An American coffee, no Cuban coffee?
No, I love, it's funny. I love the scent of the Cuban coffee, but I can't drink it. I don't drink it.
I like my Cuban coffee.
No. So I guess free advertising for them. But it's called Barney's Santa's White Christmas.
Okay.
And I'm totally dating myself, but back in the days, Barney's used to have stores in the malls, just like Starbucks has now. So when I started drinking coffee, I was 16 years old, and I would go to the mall and I would see the stores, and just the scent would kind of like captivate me and like bring me into their store, right? And so I started buying the coffee from there, making it at home. And then slowly they started closing the stores.
Oh. No.
And yes, that's exactly how I felt. Exactly how I felt. And then for a really long time, the only store that was left was up in Orlando. So every time I'd go to Orlando, I'd buy by the bulk.
Supply to last you for the year?
Yes. And then that, finally that store closed down and Publix started carrying it. So I'm like, thank you, Lord. You really love me. Because trust me, I've tried other brands, but it's just something about this brand that it just makes me feel so good.
They should know. They should watch this.
They really should. They should. And so one day I was drinking coffee with Ed, and I said, if my cup was as enriching as my coffee is, because my coffee time for me is like holy,
sacred.
Like don't talk to me. Like we can have a full conversation after I've had at least 3 sips of coffee.
A ritual.
And so I said, if my coffee cup was as enriching as my coffee, it would make my morning that much better. How amazing would it be if I looked down at my cup, and even if I just woke up, it just makes me smile.
Yeah.
And that's how
nice. I like it.
That's how Alicia Boating Designs was.
That's how it came about.
That's how it came about.
That's amazing. Tell me about that design that you have right there.
This particular one is the Cuban flag, and it's called Cuba Libre.
Okay.
And it's part of my The Places You'll Go collection, which highlights different countries. And so, yeah, I had to represent my Cuban coffee today.
Right.
That's right.
So yes, I brought my Cuba Libre cup today.
I love it. Okay.
Yep.
And I failed to say in the beginning of the podcast that this has been actually twice on the Forbes magazine. Is that correct?
That is correct. I've been very lucky to have been featured in Forbes magazine.
I love
Reader's Digest. I have a quick little story about the Reader's Digest.
Share.
So Reader's Digest, I used to have to. It wasn't an option. I was forced to go to the doctor's office with my grandmother and my great-grandmother when I was little because they would take care of me.
And you're Cuban.
I'm Cuban, exactly.
We do all those things together.
So I remember, and in the doctor's office, there were these little books everywhere. Different covers. But what I do remember is I was too little, so I would ask my grandmother, "What does this say?" She's like, "Read it, okay." Whatever that was. And so, I have that recollection, and I'm like, oh my goodness, 40 years later, I'm now on Reader's Digest, on those Reader's Digest.
And can I ask, is your grandma still alive?
No, she's not.
Well, she would be very proud of you.
Yeah, definitely.
Wow. It's almost
definitely,
like
because I used to drive her crazy. I remember driving her crazy with those little books. Aww. And she's like, "Niña, ponlo para atrás."
Wow.
That's so cute.
Wow. I love it.
Because I was like, Titi, let's take it home, and she's like, no, that doesn't belong to us. Mm. So the fact that 40 years later I was featured on Reader's Digest is a total full circle.
I think as a way of manifesting, like you, without even realizing, sometimes things happen in life, you're like, oh my God, I remember that time when I was
absolutely
fixated into something, and then years later it happens.
Yes.
I think that's a way of manifesting itself in a way.
So that's my little story on the Reader's Digest.
I love it. And you were also featured on Good Morning America, The Today Show, and The View.
Yes. And I have funny little stories on those too. So the Today Show was first. Mm-hmm. Well, to backtrack, of course, I did, Deco Drive was actually the first time.
Oh, wow.
Shout out to Deco Drive.
Yes. Very local.
Never forget where you started.
Yes, Ed, I love it. Okay.
Absolutely.
Yes,
Deco Drive, I reached out to them. I showed them my product. It looked nothing like these. It was like when I first started. And
how long ago we're talking about?
2019.
Wow.
The real concept as to how all of this started was in May of 2019, he bought me a Cricut machine. And I said, I'm going to put vinyl on absolutely everything. If you breathe and you walk, I'm going to put vinyl on you.
Okay.
Then that was in May. And then for the holidays, we had a pop-up shop at the Coral Square Mall. And I said, I'm going to fill it up with different, little signs and everything. And I'm going to put Hanukkah decorations, and I'm going to put Christmas and all that stuff. And 2 weeks before, that's when I had that conversation with him. And I'm like, my cup, it needs to be more enriching. And I designed a cup, and I put a picture on Facebook. And, I did it with whatever stuff I had at home, because I had a lot of, knickknacks, I guess, at home. And so I did it, and I put it on Facebook. And then 2 weeks later, we opened up the shop. And then the people, my friends and the audience, I guess, started coming, asking me for the cups. And I'm like, no, but this is not, I'm not selling the cups. I'm selling this.
Oh my God.
So wait a minute.
They're like, but I don't care about that. I want the cups.
So in reality,
different.
Right, you were selling something else.
Completely different. When I started the business, my idea was never, ever, ever to do the cups, ever.
Oh, sure.
Ever. And then, I quickly realized after opening up the pop-up shop that there was no way that I can compete with the other stores that were selling the same signs that I was doing. They were selling it for $3.99, and I had to sell it for $10 to make a profit.
Right.
And so, I by the third week into the pop-up shop, I told him, we need to start doing cups. And right then and there at the shop, I was doing cups. And that's how that started.
That's awesome.
Eventually, the other stuff sold. But I'm like, okay, It's always, which is part of branding. It's always your audience will always tell you who you are.
Yeah.
Your audience will always tell you what they want.
What they want. So I want to touch on that for a second, because aside from this wildly successful business that you guys have, you also have your branding business.
Correct.
So tell us about that.
So the branding started because of the publicity and because of all my, my experience. Obviously, before I even met Ed, I was a wedding and event planner for over 20 years. So my creativity has always been flowing. And so when I was a wedding and event planner, I always knew that I wanted my marketing. And this was back then when wedding planning wasn't even a thing. It was way before, the Wedding Planner movie came out, and
it was J-Lo, right?
Yeah. It was before any of that. And so I knew that when I started that business, I wanted to take it to the next level with my marketing, with my authenticity. Everybody always knew me as laughing really loud and always having lipstick on. So that was always like my thing. And so that's really where the branding started brewing, I guess. But back then it wasn't really considered branding. It was more like marketing or, I don't even know if they have like a certain terminology that they used back then. But fast forward to now, I said to him, we said to each other, actually, we need to put out there like our knowledge, our combined knowledge. And as we both said, we need to let others know. We need to be able to communicate this with other people so that they can too become successful in whatever industry they're in, because branding is not specified to one particular industry. It's open to everyone. And it doesn't matter what company you work with. You need to identify yourself. You need to brand yourself, and then everything else follows.
And how was taking that step? Were you scared? Were you
well, I mean, it's always scared. Every time you do a new venture, it's always scared because you're always thinking, what if? And that's something that I'm very big about. That little drunk monkey in real estate, we call it the drunken monkey. And it's that little drunk monkey that sits on your shoulder and tells you everything that you can't do. But then you have the little angel on this one telling you, because the drunk monkey is always going to say, what if you can't? What if it doesn't work out? But this one's going to say, what if it does? So I choose to stick with the guardian angel that's constantly telling me, what if it does? What if it does? What if it does? It took me to the Today Show. What if it does? Took me to Good Morning America.
I call
what
it
if
the inner voice.
Took me to what I consider my Academy Awards of The View.
Wow.
Cheers to that.
Wow,
what if it does has earned me the award that I just won.
Amazing.
So it's all about how you think about it and how you position it in your life. And obviously manifesting. I'm very big into manifesting also.
Are you?
Very big.
Talk to me about that.
Yes. So my routine is that, I'm sorry I'm taking over. I'm not letting Ed talk.
We've got questions for Ed in just a few minutes.
Oh, he's not off the hook.
He's not off the hook.
He's cool. He's cool, Moldy, right? So my manifesting, I wake up at a ridiculous early morning.
How early?
3:40.
3:40? You have me beat. Okay.
I wake up, I put my alarm for 3:40. And I used Mel Robbins 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Mel Robbins 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
And that helps me get out of bed. That helps me get out of bed. For those that don't know the Mel Robbins 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, please look her up and practice it, because I promise you that it will make a difference on how you react to things.
Okay.
So basically the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 is that when your alarm goes off, don't even think about it. Just get out of bed. I do this a lot when it comes to having to do spinning. My spinning classes.
I need to apply that to my life.
I'm like, do I really want to go spinning right now? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Yes, let's go. So I wake up in the morning.
Your alarm goes off. You're out of bed.
My alarm goes off. I get out of bed and I go to my little area. I light my candles and I just start my prayers. And that's my quiet. Of course, my coffee's brewing while I'm prepping my area. But I just start my prayers. And I start the morning off in gratitude.
So you have that attitude of gratitude first thing in the morning.
Absolutely. That attitude of gratitude. And you'd be surprised how fast time goes. Because, I'll look at my clock, it'll say 4:00. I'll look at it again, it'll be like 4:59. I'm like, oh my goodness.
I think a lot of people, they're aware and they know about gratitude and doing these little sacrifices, I would say, to wake up early and taking the time. But they don't take that step to do it. I'm guilty of it. I'm one of them. I understand about the gratitude. I know what I need to do, but I don't know why I don't do it. But I think I'm going to look into the Mel Robbins.
For me, it's very satisfying. Very satisfying. I start with my prayers. I start with my manifestation. And I just thank God for everything that I have and for all the continued favors that he's going to continue pouring into my life, for the safety of our children, for the health of our marriage, which is very important.
Sure.
And so that time goes by really, really fast.
Alicia, and I'm sorry to interrupt you, but so that everyone listening can understand, you guys work together, right? You have this business and you are a married couple.
Patient.
And so working and being married and you're together all the time, share, because I'm sure a lot of couples are like, what? How do they do that?
Well, let me start. In case y'all have not noticed, I am the bubbly one. I'm like, hey, what's up? Blah, blah. Ed is the more, give me the final number. Where do I sign? How do I get there? Blah, blah, blah.
It's called balance.
Yeah, I'm more analytical.
Mm-hmm.
Certainly more analytical.
Yes. By far.
Okay.
And that really comes to play, like it helps us a lot with the real estate because we're not your typical real estate agents where we come in with like listing presentations and books and no, we come in with the facts. Mm-hmm. We're first of all, we're very authentic.
Those signals.
And we say it how it is. And I usually go to the kitchen with the wife. Ed will sit in the table with the husband, discuss numbers. I'll tell the wife, if anything needs to be done or not to be done or whatnot. And then we reconvene, we all sit together, and that's how we make it work.
So balance. I'm hearing a lot of balance.
Extremely balanceful.
Yes. Playing off of each other.
And playing off of each other.
Being able to play off each other is very important. And the most important thing for us is to make sure that we help them achieve their goal. That's what I care most about. Helping them achieve their goal. It's really not about me. Never has been, never will be. And I think a lot of times people see that. And once they see that with the facts that what we're giving, sometimes the facts that we give them, they don't like to hear. But, we get to get past that. Sometimes we do, sometimes we don't. The profession that we're in is not easy in any way, shape, or form.
Here in Miami.
In any way, shape, or form, you have to be very cognizant of the data that comes in. Miami Board of Realtors, they give us updates all the time so that we can speak to our clients, tell them exactly what's going on, which way they should go, left or right.
Correct.
They put a lot of trust in us. So when we're presenting, whether we're on the listing side or on the buying side, we have to make sure it's a win-win or no deal. Mm-hmm. So that's pretty much, we do hold ourselves to a very high standard, yes.
Your clients have to trust you, like you said,
Yes. Referrals are very big, We're more referral based now than necessarily picking up and cold calling people. But, people will just always look back at your friends. If you really want to know, if people want to know who you are, go back 20 years and speak to some of those friends and they'll tell you exactly who that person was then and if they are kind of the same now. Yeah. Most of my friends can tell you that automatically. My fraternity brothers, a lot of different things. When my son passed, the outreach from my fraternity, Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated, Zeta Phi chapters at University of Florida, played Spring 97, number 7. My line name was the Fall Guy, so I got to throw that out there. And we're having our anniversary, I think it's the 17th, so it'll be 27 years that we're celebrating being in Kappa. And I say that to say, the foundation of my mom, family, wife, friends, all of that, kids, the standard is high. The standard is very high. My uncle was an OBGYN at Michigan, and I always looked up to him on a lot of things. My mom had 6, 7 brothers.
Wow, big family.
So coming from New York, then moving to Florida, I started high school in Broward, BA, Boyd Anderson, then went off to the University of Florida. So being held to a high expectation was always there. So it was always the Boating School of Excellence.
Wow.
That's how
That was
it's
the
been.
joke, but really not a joke.
Right.
Correct. So,
And
you know,
that's how you
academic
live your
and
life.
athletic, you know,
Yeah.
that's how it is.
You have to surround yourself with the right people that they want to push you. They want you to do good, be surrounded by good, and that supports and brings the best out of you. And you can see that support even if time passes by. You may not speak to one of them, but I'm sure that when you connect, like it's like nothing has, like time hasn't passed by.
From men perspective, I can speak that way. We're a little bit different. We won't speak to each other for weeks, and it's like with women sometimes it's a little different. Oh, why she hasn't called me? And
Yeah.
guys, we don't have time
You
for that.
pick up where you left off.
We've been friends forever,
That's a healthy.
and if they need me, I'm there. They vice versa. Everything is that way. It's always been that way.
And for me, I've had the same friends since I was 5 years old. So I have a group of 5 friends that we've all been through hell and high water together. My grandmother used to always say, conocidas mucho, pero amigas pocas.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
And so
Do you want to translate
literal
that?
translation is a lot of
People that you
What
may
was I
know.
Acquaintances.
A lot of
acquaintances.
a lot of
Just a few.
acquaintance, very few friends. And that saying is extremely true because my friends have been with me through everything. They celebrate all of my wins and they definitely are together with me during my painful times.
They become family.
Absolutely.
So that is it for today's episode. It was a very interesting episode. I feel like I have learned so many things.
I know she shared with us branding tips. She shared with us information for those of you that are looking to start your own business, how to move that forward, how consistency is the key.
And even that you get some setbacks, do not give up because maybe you have an initial plan, but that not might be where you're supposed to be. Just follow the signs.
And personally, a takeaway for me is I love when she shared about the Mel Robbins 5-4-3-2-1 rule.
I know, because we listened to Mel Robbins and we did not, me personally, I didn't know about this one. I'm keeping this for myself.
Mel Robbins, maybe you'd like to be in our podcast. We'd be honored to have you here. So anyway, thank you guys for joining us. Our social media, please engage with us in social media, provide us your feedback, let us know about topics that you want to listen to in future episodes. And you can do that by engaging again in our social media, which is Breaking Barriers, the Mental Health Podcast.
And as for Alicia and Edward Boateng's information, we're going to be leaving everything linked down below on the description box. And we're also going to be posting it on our Instagram for you to have access to it.
So thank you guys. Until next time. Bye.